Hello, my friends, and welcome to Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Show. If you are watching this on YouTube right now, you'll be like, Simon, why are you doing some of your wrestling show or wrestling podcast, whatever the hell you want to call it, on YouTube? And, well, it's because I had to make content for my YouTube channel today anyway. And in the last 24 hours, Bray Wyatt passed away, WWE superstar. Now, I will let you know I've done a tribute video on What Culture Wrestling. Not sure it will be live by the time you hear this. So it may seem like I'm doubling up. Don't know why I told you that. I guess I don't want to look too weird or anything. But the point is this. I sat down to record the podcast and then realized I'm not trying to take away anyone's grief. I didn't know Bray Wyatt, but it did have quite the profound effect on me. And I don't like the idea of putting up a random video talking about whatever when something so tragic has gone down and when I'm so involved in professional wrestling in whatever guise that may be. So I thought I would just record the first 10 minutes of the podcast and I can put that up because I would like to pay my own tribute on my own channel as well. Maybe it's a terrible idea. Maybe I'm wrong. You can educate me on that and I can only learn from it. And I suppose on the What Culture Wrestling one, I very much focused on the wrestler Bray Wyatt. So with this one, I thought I'd focus more on the person, Wyndham Rotunda. Now, again, I don't know him. I never had any kind of interaction with him. I'm sure he has no idea who I was. But the coolest thing, cool is probably not the right word, but the most nice thing, I can't think of the right term, but when someone like that passes away and all of a sudden you see these stories coming out and they are just overwhelmingly positive. He was such a nice guy. I was an extra backstage at WWE and he went out of his way to say hello to me. I was a security guard. He said hello to me. I was the janitor. He said hello to me. He cracked a joke. He made me feel at ease. It just sounds like he was the nicest dude ever. And look, a tragedy is a tragedy no matter how somebody lives their life. But when there are just such positive stories about someone, it does feel like an extra kick in the teeth. And of course, he had a wife. He had 4 kids, I believe. I can't quite believe it because he was only 36 years old. And as far as we know, I think Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful reported this. He had a heart issue. I don't know whether he got that later in life. It's a genetic thing. He then got COVID earlier this year. That made the heart issue worse. It sounds like it was something similar to what Keith Lee, who's another wrestler. You know this is the podcast. In case you're just randomly watching this on YouTube. What am I even talking about? You know who Keith Lee is. It sounds like something he went through too. And he came out the other side of it. But when you hear the stories from him or Mia Yim, they were very much, it just sounded horrific. So for somebody to pass away at 36 years of age, especially after losing one of their best friends a few years earlier in Luke Harper, Brody Lee, John Huber, whichever term you would like to use. I don't even actually know what to say about it, which is kind of dumb for a video like this. But I think it's important to get out there that he clearly was just a stand-up individual. And again, going back to the wrestling side of things, was just an absolute creative genius. I don't understand how he ever came up with the Firefly Funhouse puppets thing. I don't understand how he came up with the Fiend and made that work without it being ridiculous. That's a testament to the man. That's why people always used to say, oh, Bray Wyatt should be the next Undertaker. And that's how I always took it. Well, he should be the next Undertaker because if you give the Undertaker gimmick to anyone other than Mark Calloway, it doesn't work. Go and tell that to someone that doesn't watch wrestling. Oh, he's a dead zombie man that you can't hurt. They look at you like you're a strange individual. Like, that is true, but trust me, it's clicking. And it's the same with Bray Wyatt. There are so many things that he took on, like, I guess the Eater of Worlds character was more based in reality, but they still did spooky wooky stuff. And he made it creepy and he made it a little bit scary. And that's because he could take these, I guess, movie inspirations and paste it across to sports entertainment. And yeah, it was always just so fascinating. Not like everything he did was like an absolutely home run, but it was never boring. It was always interesting. And he always thought outside the box. And I always thought this, like when you have so much wrestling on TV, I don't want the same old all the time. It's absolutely dull. Even if something is crap, who cares? It's crap. It's wrestling. It doesn't matter. And that, my gosh, incidents like this prove that. Who gives a crap about a match going wrong or somebody botching a spot or a storyline going down the toilet? I mean, you can be critical of it in the moment, but it's when we cross that line and become like super negative Nancy's. But he was the complete opposite to that. He's like, well, let's make it intriguing and let's make it interesting. Look, we'll take a bad one, right, just to prove it. When he was fighting Finn Balor before he got injured and they didn't do the match, and he became Sister Abigail and he wore like a pair of tights on his head or something. It's really, really strange. But I just love the fact that he would try that. Let's try it. Let's do something. I almost think there's something motivational and inspirational to tie in to life there, like in your own existence, whatever that may be. And I said this in the What Culture video as well. I'm sorry that I keep referring to it, but I did. It was the same with the Eater of Worlds character. Like, you go back to any kind of news board or dirt sheet, and everyone's like, oh, they're not booking Bray right, he's not winning the right feuds, etc., etc. To the point someone decided, okay, we need to switch gimmicks here. And he became The Fiend. Once again, on paper, The Fiend sounds ridiculous. A child's TV host is going to muck around with puppets, but when he comes to the ring, he's a serial killer and he wears a mask. What? What are you talking about? But all of it was just so damn inspired. That first entrance getting Finn Balor at SummerSlam, flipping awesome. Again, which actually came from the whole Sister Abigail stuff. The way the puppets evolved, all the spooky stuff he did, the WrestleMania 36 match with John Cena. I don't know, man. I would love to think that all of a sudden we're all going to come together as a community and it's going to be happy, happy, lovely, lovely, but it won't be. And in many ways, I understand that because it's a self-preservation thing. We all naturally, as human beings, want to go back into our own existences and protect ourselves against these things because they're scary, they're terrifying, and they're super, super upsetting. But that's why we always have to remember the human side of the man as well. Again, he was a father, a husband, a son, a child. That's the other thing, of course. He's IRS's kid. You know, he's part of the Rotunda family. He's a third generation superstar. Bo Dallas's brother. I can't even imagine what they're going through right now. Like, I really, really can't. And nor do I ever want to, because it's such a horrific thing. And that's another reason I always get a little bit worried about talking about these things, because I think I mentioned this at the start of the video. I am ranting a bit. Apologize. I never want to take the grief away from somebody else. Because, you know, as much as it just shocked the hell out of me at 3 a.m. in the morning when I read this, 10 times, 20 times, 30 times more impactful and worse for his friends and family, especially because news and rumors, and again, take it with a pinch of salt, seems to suggest that he was ready to come back, or at least WWE had start making plans for him again. And now this. I'm 36 years old. Oh, man. And again, you know, how else could I have started this podcast, right? There's nothing else we can talk about. Nothing will be bigger than this. Like, as much as I can't wait for All In, and I think it's going to be a moment in time and something we remember forever, this is real life. This is reality. And I know it's my boring saying, but wrestling is the most important of the least important things. And it's stuff like this that always reminds me of that. You know, it was the same when Jay Briscoe passed away a few months earlier in a car crash with his daughters, who then had to go through all this medical stuff. And of course, you know, we've mentioned Brody Lee when it wasn't the same issue, but it sounds like, you know, there are similar events there in this sense, just an illness or a disease, and all of a sudden it gets worse and worse, and then you don't come back from it. The fact they were friends and in the same group, I mean, thoughts with Eric Rowan today and Braun Strowman. I mean, it must affect them in a different way because how could it not? But ultimately, I get it. It sounds cheesy and stupid. You're like, Simon, stop being this guy. I totally understand that White would rub somebody the wrong way. I do, but I do mean it. It's true. Just be nicer to people, man. And if you don't like something on wrestling, like, criticize the creative side of it, but don't make it personal. And so many people do, and I don't like it. I don't think it serves anyone because, you know, look at this. This is genuinely the worst thing ever that can happen in wrestling. And I'm recording this on Friday, so you may hear this after the fact. I would assume that SmackDown would be a tribute show to Bray Wyatt. I would hope that it would be, but again, I don't know the logistics of that kind of thing. You can have fans in the arena. Maybe that ties into it as well, but you would hope so, because it would be nice if he could have a send-off, because for as little time as he had in wrestling compared to, you know, the I don't want to say legends, because I think he was a legend, but the old timers, the veterans, whatever word we're looking for here, he wasn't around for a long time, but my word, did he have a massive impact. And you can have these creative ideas, but to then make them work and, you know, make them make sense within a wrestling context and not just be utterly ridiculous, again, gobbledygooker levels, which can happen sometimes, especially in WWE. It really is a testament to the man that he was able to do that. And I think it would have been the same with Uncle Howdy. And the coolest thing with Uncle Howdy with me, and again, I know, what a moron, is I just love the fact that brother and brother were working together. I mean, WWE should have done that ages ago. You know, Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt being side by side. And there were the rumors recently as well that apparently Eric Young was going to be involved and some other people, and they were going to do the Wyatt Six. But again, all of that is totally irrelevant. So just a small tribute to someone who, again, fantastic professional wrestler. We'll use the term from a sports entertainment point of view especially. Really, really understood all of that. But the man himself just sounds like such a wonderful dude and had such a big heart. Again, I'm just speaking on other people's stories here. But there's not one. There's not even a but anywhere. It's all just top dude, top guy, loved what he did, and had a crazy brain that would just come up with ideas that would flabbergast other people, and then they had to sit down and try and figure out how this was going to work. So I'll end it there, the YouTube portion. Thankfully, and actually you did send me the questions before Bray Wyatt passed away, but I think today we'll just sit down, we'll answer a bunch of questions. But if you are on YouTube, you know, go down in the comments and interact with that as much as you can, share Bray Wyatt memories. And yeah, again, it's it for the video portion, but we'll carry on for the audio portion. It's a little bit weird, but thank you for watching visually if you are, and I'll talk to you soon.